Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday, December 1st, 2022 edition of Comic Book Spectrum. Glad you're here. Thank you for sharing your time with us. This is the show that saves you money by telling you what comic books are good and which ones are not. And if you're here live, we're glad you're here, and please type us a comment. We'll try to read it on the air if we can. And if you're watching us on the replay, we love you too. And please put in your comments down below. We'll try to reply to them, even if you're a Russian porn bot. We'll have a conversation. But anyway, let's put the fun back in funny books with Comic Book Spectrum.
Seconds.
Now comes the part.
How dare you! How dare you!
And welcome to Comic Book Spectrum. Sorry about that, Greta. But anyway, we're glad you're here tonight. And as always, we are supported by some very special people, and a whole bunch of them actually are our Patreon supporters who give generously to us every month to keep the rising tide moving forward. And in return, they get blogs, they get works in progress to peek at. By the weekend, the $5 a month and higher will get to see Chapter 6 of Volcana 2, the Prometheus frame-up, and we're going to be kicking that into high drive after the first of the year. But anyway, if you want to see what we offer at the various pledge levels, including our twice-weekly blog, go to Patreon at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And we are also brought to you tonight by Rising Tide Publications. Check out the Terrors coming out this spring, as well as Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
If you're like me, you didn't put in all that work just to put a crappy cover on your masterpiece, right? You want the best, and that's what Jeffrey Hayes will provide every time with Plasma Fire Graphics. He does incredible work. He does it very quickly, and he does it at indie creator-friendly pricing. So check out the Facebook page for Plasma Fire Graphics on Facebook. Then go on over to plasmafiregraphics.com and see some more samples and get in touch with Jeffrey. You'll be glad you did, and so will your audience. That's Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And also, we want to have a special word here from for a friend of ours for a very special event coming up in January. Take a look at this.
The Multiverse Fundraiser is a virtual fandom jamboree and a charity fundraiser all rolled into one package. We're not just raising funds for a good cause, we're raising fun. Our 2023 event will be supporting the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health, which exists to spread awareness of aortic health and prevent unnecessary suffering through genetic research, widespread education, and radical advocacy. Our fundraiser combines celebrity panels, fandom-based panels, indie creators, and all of the fun of a virtual con for free. There's a little something for everyone while we support a cause close to our heart. Join us on January 20th through 22nd, along with celebrity guests Amy Yazbek, Jason Bear, Chris Gaucher, Victor Garber, William Catt, Cress Williams, Beth Broderick, Armin Shimmerman, Guy Gilchrist, Carrie Schaefer, Brian Hull, Amy Carrero, Jennifer Cody, and Joyce DeWitt.
Check out that event in January. You're going to be glad you did, and it's a geeky fun for a good cause. So check that out, all right? And speaking of geeky fun, here they are. I'm glad to introduce them all. The four and only, Clyde Hall, Eric S. Hawkins, Joe D. McFee, and Brian Rodman. Yay! I did it right this time. Hurrah! Yay, everyone. Yay. How's y'all doing?
Great.
Holiday howdies.
Fantastic.
Excellent. And for everyone that watched last week's episode, you probably got lonely. But anyway, we're glad.
About to say, it's like last week. Yeah, they're probably by themselves.
We should have I should have worked something up. You know, it was really glad. I was really glad that we had that successful seance. We brought up the spirit of Jack Kirby. You know, and he revealed about 14 new comic things that we're all going to be working on. So,
and then we went into turkey comas, and it was great.
It was. It really was. Yeah, and I hope you guys, and I hope everyone out there had a very, very successful and happy Thanksgiving. So, we really do. So, and we're grateful to be here tonight. So, and what we're also grateful for are comments. Yeehaw. And with here, we'll just introduce ourselves when we do our reviews, go around the room. But first in the gate tonight is Ted Davies Artistry. Ted, how you doing, guy? Glad to see you. Hello, superheroes. Hello, you, sir. And check out TedDaviesArtistry.com, his Facebook page, and his broadcasting at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Tube of Views. So anyway, glad you're here, Ted. And Donna Carlene hurries in and finds to see who made it. Donna, so glad you're here. It was such a fun time being with you at the Hoosier Indie Author Book Fair last Saturday. With you and Carl and Michaela Jade. Had a good time, and everyone's saying hi to each other. And hello, Carl Witzman. How are you? And had to pick up my niece's kid and saw you had another show today. I feel terrible for missing both of them. Well, that proves you have a human soul. Me, on the other hand, meh. Anyway, but anyway, we've got Lissy here. Lissy, how you doing, sweetie? Glad to see you here. And Teresa Dunn, glad to have you here. Evening all, Brian and the rest of the guys. Teresa, glad to see you. Everyone saying hello. And Philip Thompson. Philip, how are you, sir? Glad to have you here. And no! What about the part where we throw our heads back and laugh? Ha! See, we just did. See? Now's the audience participation part of your show. And Dan Hollifield, good to see you. Don't forget this man is on Stupid O'Clock Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. on Saturdays. And stay tuned afterwards for Last Man Standing. Always fun, geeky talk. And hello to everyone here. And woo, full house. I love that show. But anyway, we have just traversed all the various and sundry comments here. So here we go.
Is that a record? Have we introduced ourselves? Well, kind of. And then gone through the comments in 12 minutes in?
I think that is a record, yes.
Wow.
And actually, technically, it's 9 minutes because I'm looking at the little clock. Yeah. We always start late. We're on theater time here.
It's because we're having so much fun backstage. That's why.
It's true. And one day
somebody wanted a Guinness World Record. That's what I thought it was.
That's right. We're gonna have a 2-minute show. Anyway, yes, I do know we have an echo here, but that's coming out of my ears. But anyway, because there's nothing in to soak up the sound. But anyway,
it's like throwing a tennis ball down a hallway.
There it is. And I noticed it went away when I pushed these things back in my hand. What the hell's happening? I guess I was the cause, but anyway.
Hot dog down the hallway.
I know. He tries so hard, the host. But anyway, tell you what, let's start reviewing stuff.
Where we go, we need no rails.
That's right. That's right, my God. We have no memory of what those are. And good evening to you, Facebook user. Hey, check out the check out the StreamYard page, because every now and then you have to kiss the rock that's there while you're hanging upside down, and then we can see your name. We're glad to have you here, though. Thank you for spending some time with us. And so let's start with Mr. Electricity down here, Brian Rodman. What have you got for us this week, Brian? And tell everybody who you are.
Hi, I'm Brian. I am the author and illustrator of the horror fantasy comic book series Memoirs of an Angel, soon to be now the hybrid novel / graphic novel series of the Cosmic Wheel. So, completely, taking an interesting rebrand there. More to come on that next year. I have a go to brianrodman.com, all my stuff there. I have finally caught up with this. I wanted to review Blade Vampire Nation a couple of weeks ago when it first came out, but I didn't get to my shops quick enough, and they sold out, and they have been sold out for 2 weeks. And I read it, and I don't understand why. So we're gonna jump
Oh no!
So the writer is Mark Russell. The artist is Dave Watcher. Color artist is D. Cunniff. Letterer is DC's Corey Pete. Interesting name. And then we've got a bunch of designers and editors, and editor-in-chief and editor, associate editor that you can find the book and put their own credits to. So I I was being a little harsh when I introduced. This is actually a decent book. It's a one shot, which I didn't know when I got it. I thought it was because the number one was tricky. I thought it was the first in like a mini series or something. And then I noticed that it's from the page of the Avengers, or from the pages of the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. So it's a part of that series that I'm not too familiar with. But good news is you don't really need to be familiar with that to understand this story, which I was very thankful for that. And I just kind of want to read where we are as before we jump in. Blade Vampire Nation is Dracula formed a nation of vampires in Chernobyl over which he rules. The UN and the Avengers agreed to recognize the new nation's sovereignty only under one condition: that Blade serve as sheriff, enforcing law and order among the vampire nations against Dracula's wishes. Which, that as a premise, as a Blade fan, it just sounds awesome. And it starts off really awesome too. First of all, kudos on the artwork. Also, the art on the cover is the same art inside, which you've already won points for me. When that happens, especially in the big two, I am a happy Brian, because I'm so tired of seeing a cover that's really, really cool, opening it up and realizing that's not the same artwork that's on the inside. I get the idea of cover artists, nothing against them. It's just a pet peeve. So anyway, we start off and we see this helicopter heading into what is the Vampire Nation, which has got a little map there at the bottom, which is pretty cool. Shows what kind of what Vampirsk is, and it's the areas surrounding the Chernobyl power plant, which is just so cool. It makes sense, right? Like vampires would totally occupy that area, I feel like. And but we're quickly introduced to a group of special forces of humans that are on some sort of mission to potentially assassinate a vampire. And I thought this was just really cool. The vampires. Anybody watch that old movie, Planet of Vampires?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it just kind of gives off those vibes. They look like little vampire astronauts. They're cute. But they're actually really gnarly looking. They're super cool. They come out of the woodwork and try to stop this special forces team. And what's really cool is they have like a library system, um, and all the special forces team actually is looking for a specific coffin, and all of those are coffins. It looks like a fancy hotel morgue. Isn't that cool? So
Nice.
I really dig that. That was a lot of fun. Um, and the humans are successful. They end up getting a what is later they realize that, or we realize as the reader, that they were after Dracula, but they got one of Dracula's council members instead. And it's really cool. At the last minute, one of the last surviving soldiers opens the coffin, and look at that, just beautiful, delicious vampire death. I love it.
Undeath.
Sorry, yes. Uh, but and then I do like this quite a bit. This one shot starts off really strong. We jump right into that action, and then we kind of pan back and we take just a look at what Vampirisk looks like a little more. Like we see the billboards being painted of Dracula, who he looks really really cool. And his, that was his council member that just got toasted. And
Hate when it happens.
I know, right? And then we go to Dracula and Blade talking about this assassination attempt on his life, and they actually got his council member. And tell me who that looks like right there.
Wesley Snipes.
Not that. No, him.
Oh.
If that
Christopher
looks like
Lee.
Wesley Snipes, sir, you are blind.
Christopher Lee with your finger in his nose.
Yeah. I thought he kind of looked like Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
oh,
right.
yeah,
that
no,
looks
I
good.
thought Christopher Lee at first too. I was like, "Oh, that's fun." I was like, "No, that's not who that is. That looks like Peter Cushing," which is just interesting.
Your
And he
finger
only
in his
looks like
nostril
that-
made the difference, though.
He only looks like Peter Cushing in that one panel. The rest of it, he just looks like his own self. But but Blade then goes on for Dracula as the sheriff, Vampirisk, and is going around to investigate what's going on. And it kind of becomes a little slow burn after that, and the story kind of, I don't know, I got bored, which I didn't realize. And this is the duality of the complexity of my feelings towards the story, because as the story continued, I didn't realize that I was bored until it was done. And then I looked back and I was like, nothing really happens after the first like 5 pages. Like there's an investigation, and it's it's interesting storytelling. There's some really cool parts getting to know Vampirisk, and Blade meets up with a mysterious surviving member of the special forces team. You don't really know whatever happens to this person after they talk. It just kind of seems like there was a lot of loose ends in this one shot. It felt like I feel like they wanted to set up something that kept going, but they didn't have time, so they just kind of wrapped everything up half-heartedly. Now I don't know if they will maybe turn this into a series. I hope so. I really, really hope so. That's the one thing about this issue, about this one shot, that it left me wanting so much more. So I would love to see a series just dedicated to Blade as the sheriff of this vampire country. That would be amazing. And it does say at the end of it, and this, I didn't know that it was a one shot until I got to the end, and I was like, oh, this is a decent setup. And then it was like, Blade continues in All Out Avengers issue 1, and I was like, okay, Scout Comics, what are you doing? And so then I looked it up, and sure enough, it's a one shot, so it's not going to continue, and that bummed me out quite a bit. I'll have to say this: the story it's a good story, and that's why I say I didn't notice I was bored until I was done with it, because the writing is excellent. The dialogue's great. I chuckled a few times. It had a good. All the characters had really good chemistry. Be it as very short lived as most of the characters were in this story, you never really got to know any of them, but the time you spent with them was good. And so, and Blade was, Blade was Blade. Very, very, he did some detective work in this one, which I thought was pretty cool. He kind of put on a Batman hat this time around. But anyway, I love the concept. I think where they're going with this idea is really, really cool, and I hope they do more just dedicated to Blade Vampire Nation. I hope they do more in Vampiresque. I hope Blade gets his own book in this. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Overall, I have to say the artwork was great. Love the artwork, love the writing. The story was kind of lackluster after the
green in at 20. All right, what do we got for the right?
What have we got?
Of Maria Hill.
I don't know.
Back in the
What's happening?
Hold on here. Hold on.
Series, but here we go. First, Maria Hill, a beautiful 9-2. That's New Avengers number 4 from the Bendis Pinch run.
It's Joe.
All right. So, anyway, I have to say that the artwork was great. Love the artwork. The dialogue was wonderful. It was great. Very well written. The story was really lackluster after the first 5 pages. It just kind of, like I said, if it was the first issue of at least like a 3 to 5 issue run, then I could see this building up to something more. But being a one shot, it just kind of fell flat. So I have to say 7 out of 10 on this. It's definitely worth a read if you love Blade. It's not a bust, but don't expect anything super special, unfortunately. I love you, Blade, but you're no Hellboy.
Oh boy,
So,
that's
there we
damning with faint praise. Well, that's a shame because Mark Russell is currently one of my favorite writers in comics.
Oh yeah, and he's very good at like especially the dialogue between the characters. Like I said, for me to I felt engaged with the characters that didn't really last in the issue, which that says a lot. So it was very well written. I just felt like the story, I don't know. I feel like they wanted to do more, which is very possible. I'm sure they did. We all know how comic books work. I'm sure they wanted to tell a lot more, but couldn't. And I think you really saw that in this.
That's a shame. Shame. Okay. Well, thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate
It was a good read, though. I do read it if you like Blade, for sure.
Read it on the stands. This is a library, punks. Anyway. And you didn't hear it from me. You didn't hear it from me. Oh, hey, we have some more comments. Teresa Dunn is recuperating from Tuesday. That's when she had a special ceremony for her late husband, Albert. And we're glad you're here tonight. And comic book black belt, Russ Leach. Good to have you here. We are now international, my friends. He's up late with whiskey catching the show, which I hope we said hello to you before you passed out. Anyway, everyone's saying hello. And Carl Wisman goes, it's Max Headroom interruption. Yeah, there we go. A guy from WGN is taking over our station here, so well, we got it. So, thank you again, Brian.
Yeah, thank you. It was like I said, good read.
That's a nice cover too.
Yeah, very good cover. And it was almost silly how excited I got when I opened it and saw that it was the same artwork. I was like, oh, good. Sweet. I just love when that happens.
Oh, I do too.
And it's sad that that's such a rarity. That's the sad part.
Yeah. And Russ is now passing out. So anyway, Russ. By the way, Russ has a very impressive set of credits. Check out his book from Arrow 4.0. Only Death Can Save Us, and he's a writer and artist on that. And also, he is currently doing a series of Batman comics for the French and South American market, and we need to have it here. And he just finished a run on the comic section in Doctor Who magazine.
Oh, very
nice.
Cool.
So yeah, he has got credits. And anyway, we're glad you're here, Russ. We love you, brother. Anyway, Joe, you want to go next?
Yes, I can. If you need me to go next, and
We're just gonna shake.
That's what's going to happen.
And then we are. Yes, I rule. Anyway, here we go.
Aye, aye, Captain. Or how Benny Hill would do it. Aye, aye, Captain.
There we go. There we go.
Okay, introductions first, I guess.
Yes.
It's a little bit different. I'm Joe D. McFee. I'm the president of CGC Studios. I am the writer, creator of comic books like Amazonia, which just recently had its 7-issue crowdfunding and everything. We still got extra copies and everything, so you can always buy our comics directly from us at cgcstudios.com. Like I said, a writer, creator of Amazonia, Primetime Saturday Night, and AWF, and part-time article contributor to Comics Unlimited magazine. If you paid attention to Comics Unlimited podcast today, they went over issue number 11, where I have an article in that. You can always find Comics Unlimited magazine out there on Amazon.com. And speaking of which, since we do have Russ Leach here, you might want to check out issue number 5 for Comics Unlimited, because we talk about the only Death Can Save Us in that aspect here. So that's the cool thing about it. So with that being said, it is time for tonight's feature presentation, which was brought to you by Comic Book Phone. Yes, Comic Book Phone is no longer live. It is out there on the Comic Book Spectrum group out there on Facebook.
Yay.
We run a poll each and every week here, where you get to vote on a selection of comic books that I have here that should meet the requirements for this thing. And I do have to put this disclaimer out here. I'm trying my best to abide by the rules. We normally try to only do with books that has been out 30 days or less, so that way you can go out to a comic book store to get them here. We try to do that try to do that as best as we can with Comic Book Phone, but because I normally get my stuff via mail order, and the fact that you guys vote on it, some of the stories that I may not fall within that category. So just be aware that, yes, you can still pick it up at the comic book store, but it does not necessarily mean that it's the latest and greatest issue out there. With that being stated here, because of the time that you had extra time to vote, and because of that extra time to vote, we do have our weekly winner here. And let's just say I am quite happy, because I read this book and I was like, now this is what I'm talking about. And I felt that way here. Why? Because again, with Russ Leach being here and working on Batman, we're going to only talk about the one Batman that really counts. And that one Batman that really counts is Thomas Wayne. Why? Because we're dealing with Flashpoint Beyond issue number 3. Now, Flashpoint issue number 3, and let me go ahead and get back to the credits here, because I want to make sure that everybody gets their normal credits for this particular book before we get into the in-depth talking about it here. If there is there it is. Okay. So it's written by Jeff Johns, Jeremy Adams, and Tim Sheridan. And the artist on this is Shermico and Michael Janin. And Michael Janin only did the last 2 pages of this here. And the variant cover is done by Zernico. That's the cover that I have here. That's the variant. And I will explain the cover. Because the cover actually has significance in this particular book. So, before we get into issue number 3, quick little recap. Issue number 1, Thomas Wayne get this premonition from a Flash. We're not going to say if it's Barry Allen or not, but it was a premonition stating that whatever happened with Flashpoint in their universe is about to get ready to collapse. They need to figure out what actually happened to him, why he actually died, or did he truly die? So he's investigating, what went down. And in the first issue, we had the death of Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, by the hands of Diana Prince, which is aka Wonder Woman eventually. and now the Amazon's about to get ready to try to take over the Earth here. Then, Thomas Wayne pretty much, it is what it is. I got bigger fish to fry. So we get to the second issue here where we have the whole thing about what's going on with Thomas Wayne after the fact about what happened with Bruce in that timeline, what happened to Martha, what happened to Harvey Dent, and what happened to his wife, because of the whole thing about him and his wife and the whole conversation about Arkham Asylum. Towards the tail end of that, we get a special surprise guest, which leads into issue number 3, which we're going to talk about right now. So that's the short bit about it. If you want to learn everything that went on, go back, watch those episodes. You get a good story behind it. So issue number 3 starts off with what happened on Krypton 30 years ago. So now we have the origin story of what we have of Flashpoint, or what we call Flashpoint Superman, or AKA the one true Superman. So now, as this had happened, people over the world were seeing Smallville, Kansas, Metropolis, and everything. Everybody saw the rocket hit and everything, and one thing led to another, and out of nowhere, it kind of like parallels to how Kal-El got to this version of Flashpoint here. So we get a television broadcast about what was going on for all these different rockets coming out of the sky and whatnot. And you have Oswald Cobblepot, yes, the Penguin, helping the new ward that Thomas Wayne has, and he's teaching him how to pick locks. Giving him the necessary skills to take over the family business if need be. But while they're doing that, we have what appears to be a Flash saying, it's like, I need to talk to Thomas Wayne. He's coming. Again, he's coming, and then it disappears. So we don't know what else has just changed here, but something is coming, and it's not looking good. And Oswald is trying to figure out what the world is going on. So with that on the back burner, not going to talk about the ads, because why? It's a scene transition, so it's allowed. We fast forward to where we left off in issue number 2. Superman meeting up with Thomas Wayne. So Superman is there. He's about to get ready to confront Thomas. And as you can see, Thomas is up here like, okay, stay back, Superman, trying to get him to stand down and whatnot. So the crook that Thomas Wayne was about to get ready to pretty much put a bullet in his head decides, I'm going to take the easy route. I'm going to take this gun and I'm going to shoot at Superman. He does it, bullets bounce off him, and he's like, crikey. And unlike most other Supermans, where he would just went over and try to like reassure him and calm him down and this, that, and the other, he pretty much just told us like, this has nothing to do, pretty much just leave or you will burn. So his beef was not with the crook. He wanted Thomas Wayne. Now, this is why I like this particular Superman, because of what's about to get ready to happen. So Thomas is like, why are you here? And Superman was like, well, I need your help. And it's like, okay, fine, find somebody else. I'm not interested. Leave me alone. It's like, and he's up here. It's like, wait, he puts his hands on Thomas, and Thomas straight up tries to cold cock him. What ended up happening? Broken wrist. Not because they got into a fight, just from the impact of trying to hit him. I was like, now we're back to old school Superman. I was like, this now makes me interested in this Superman character. Because I'm up here, it's like, oh, He's that powerful. It's like it's nothing that Thomas can do at this point. They cannot fist fight as equals. I was like, this is going to be good. So after he did that and he realized that his wrist was fractured and everything, and he's like, oh, he's not trying to fight back and this, that, and the other. And it's like, Superman was like, look, you got to come with me. It's like, no, it's like he's really resisting and everything. And in one fell backhand, Thomas Wayne KO. The grueling battle has ended in a victory for one true Superman. You lost heavily. So, with that being stated, we fast forward back to Arkham. Now, after all that was said and done, we have Harvey Dent's wife going back to her cell after they patched her up, because remember, she drove her face through the glass, tried to drive her face through the glass slot of her cell that she's in at Arkham Asylum. And if you notice, half her face is patched up and everything. So now she's becoming the next Two-Face. In essence, she is the next Two-Face coming, about to happen. But she says something interesting here. She talks about her son and the fact that a son always needs their mother. So it makes you wonder, who could the son be that she's referring to? So again, another scene transition. So the ads and stuff is okay, even though it's still double page ads. So we've seen shifts. Thomas Wayne wakes up. He's in the middle of all of this foliage and whatnot. And when he wakes up, the first person he sees is Poison Ivy. And now he's up here. It's like, okay, what's really going on here? Stay away from me, this, that, and the other. I've already killed you once. Why are you here? And Poison Ivy is like, I have no beef with you. I'm only here because he wants you here. That's like, and then he was like, well, where's the alien? It's like, you don't want to call him that. He hates being called that. So again, an unnecessary ad break right there, because the scene really didn't change, and it gets followed up by another ad. So now DC is losing points again. So pretty much after he wakes up, Poison Ivy, shows him around as far as this wondrous location on Earth here that is called the Oasis. And the Oasis is supposed to be a sanctuary. And the key thing about it is like, Thomas Wayne is already trying to put two and two together. And it's like, well, if you didn't put this place together, who did? And the name Jason Woodrow come up. Now, for those who may not know that name, you might know him by something different. Something that is nice and glorious that matches up with this cover here, with the eyes in the background. Jason Woodrow is Swamp Thing. So Swamp Thing made this great big sanctuary to help those on Earth up under the circumstances. And what circumstances would that be? Well, that's the reason why Superman wanted Thomas there. And it's up here. It's like, well, I still don't understand. Why do you need me? It's like, if you got this sanctuary, you got all these people here, why is this a major, why do you need my help? I don't get any of this. So if you remember your Kryptonian lore, the crystals and stuff that came with Kal-El when he landed and everything. So he grabs one of the crystals, he gives it to one of the living branches and everything that can decode it. And we get the image of Jor-El. Now all up here is like, okay, so Jor-El is here. So we got to get something that is going to be some kind of like peacefulness and everything to that magnitude. As far as, oh, there's going to be some other type of cosmic threat, or Earth was pretty much in the same type of peril like Krypton was. No, that's not what we get. What we get is pretty much him telling Kal-El, great, you survived. Now, since we know that you survived, Earth becomes a very valuable place for us to come to invade and take over. And once this happens, you will be the greatest hero amongst your own people, the Kryptonians. So now the Kryptonians up under Jor-El is about to get ready to come to Earth and invade. So with that on the horizon, he asked, hey, Thomas, could you at least help us? Could you at least, find all the other metahumans on Earth? Let us form an army before we could deal with this particular threat. And he was like, well, how many days do we have? 5. And Thomas was like, nope, can't help you. And they're up here. It's like, wait. It's like, what do you mean you can't help us? And then Kal-El is like, well, my father. What we're going to do about this invasion? This, that, and the other. And then this is why I kind of like the writing here. And this is where I kind of get where everything is going with this particular series. This one page pretty much says it all, but I'm going to paraphrase what he said. And his reaction was, well, Jor-El is doing what any father would do, especially if he had to give up his son. Once he finds out his son is okay, he's going to come in, check on him, and start fresh over. You have your family again. That is natural for a father to do. Why are you going against that? Was what I'm paraphrasing, the direction he was coming at. And then that's where we get a side of this Superman pretty much saying that, I know what it's out to be like an outcast, and there's still good people here on Earth. They like those good people here on Earth does not need that type of judgment, nor need to be involved in this type of death and enslavement. But Bruce is like, nope, 5 days is not good enough for me. I have my mission. That takes priority first. And he pretty much told them good luck, and he'd find his own way. Now, here's the key thing here, because I'm glad that they got rid of this whole thing about coming back over into the main DC universe, and the whole thing about the snow globe and all this other stuff about the one kid and Bruce. I'm glad that they got rid of that. But this next scene moves the story forward in the proper aspect here. So we got Commissioner Gordon, or I should say Commissioner Barbara Gordon, I should say, but it's still Commissioner Gordon. They're looking at this one crime scene, and they're trying to figure out what in the world is going on and everything. There was no ID on this person, no nothing. It was just a brutal murder, but they couldn't figure out any connection to anything with inside of Gotham. However, the person that they are investigating that they found dead is Reverse Flash, who I believe was the person that was trying to warn Thomas Wayne. So that becomes the most interesting thing about it, which leads into the next scene here about how the timeline for Flashpoint becoming unstable, because now you got these two individuals outside of the time, and now there's a time paradox, and they're trying to figure out what's causing the time paradox. And at first they were thinking that it was Thomas Wayne, and then at this point there's like, no, it can't be, because if it was Thomas Wayne causing the time paradox, everything would have collapsed by now. And then they were saying, well, with that being stated, Hypertime has bigger problems than Thomas Wayne at this point, which leads into the next issue. So now we got 5 days for Thomas to stop whatever event is happening in Hypertime, let alone having to deal with a possible invasion from Kryptonians and what is actually going on with the death of Barry Allen and the fallout from the original Flashpoint. It makes for a very good series, even though it's only a 6-issue miniseries. So this is halfway through. So I have a sneaky suspicion that everything is going to get sped up quite fast at this point in time. With that being stated, despite some of the interruptions with the ads, the story is now being told in such a way where you can finally get truly invested in, which is always a great sign in the long run. The addition of Swamp Thing being in the mix and seeing how, you know, what we knew as heroes and villains are now really intermingling in such a way where now everything is hinging on one focal point or one major threat, where there's no more good and evil per se. It makes it a more compelling story to finish off reading in the long run. With that said, I give issue number 3 of Flashpoint Beyond, issue 3, a 8 out of 10. Would have been a 9 out of 10 if they would have really, you know, sewn up more of the issues dealing with Barry Allen and why what I believe is Reverse Flash being dead in that apartment, and how Commissioner Barbara Gordon found him. All of this stuff is like being just thrown in at the last second to be like, oh, another cliffhanger to read into the next, another cliffhanger to try to pull you into the next issue, another cliffhanger to pull you into the next issue. But without a proper guidance to bring you in and just not being thrown into the scenario, it could have been a 9 out of 10 with that. So 8 out of 10, Flashpoint Beyond number 3.
All right.
And don't forget to vote on the next comic book on the Comics Unlimited, not Comics Unlimited, Comic Book Spectrum's Facebook page.
That's right.
Poll is up right now. Voting ends next Tuesday. Or this upcoming Tuesday, I should say.
Excellent. Excellent. Good one, Joe. Thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. All right, and you probably didn't see it, but Russ Leach was blushing with all the compliments. And you guys are awesome, especially Joe. Way to kiss up to our reviewers. But anyway, so anyway, thank you again, Joe. And
not a problem. I'm here for the people. People pick what I read and what I review, and I'm going to try to do my best for the people.
That's right, and I'm here for the people, and I know what's best, what they should have. That's why we're doing the reviews. Anyway,
I'm here for the peeps because they're easier to please. I don't know.
I like peeps, especially when you break the wrapper and let them dry out for a couple months. Those things are awesome.
I hate peeps.
Yeah, well, you know what, Eric? About a year ago, I think it was, you mentioned coffee peeps.
Yeah,
and you hated them.
They were disgusting.
I love them with every fiber of my being.
Oh.
They will replace real food for me and Cookie.
Well, they're apparently out for every holiday now, not just Easter.
Wait.
Best news I've had all day.
Wait. Did Madam Executive Producer sign off on that?
Yes. Yes, she did. The only thing she does is we went into our local Five Below about 3 months ago. They had, you go in the door and they have those big bins of crap, those big wash tubs, and they had one that was just full of peeps, and I was trying to convince her to let me empty it into our cart. And where did she tell me to go? Never mind. Anyway,
yeah, Brian, you'd appreciate one of my professors when I was at Bible college. He literally stopped the class one day when we were going through an Exodus course. and pulled out a package of Peeps and said, "Many do not know what the manna was from heaven, but I have found it."
Yeah.
And it was this whole elaborate thing. And of course, I hate Peeps, so I'm like, God, that sounds awful. So it's like, geez, couldn't you do something else, Lord? Just some gross marshmallow. Blech.
I am not one to question God's ways.
You know, he was in his 60s too. Maybe it's a 60s thing. I don't know.
It could be. It could be.
That's why they wandered around in the wilderness for 40 years.
That's right.
They're waiting for him to dry out. That was what it was.
We're not going to eat this slop. We're not going to eat this slop.
And we are joined now by the one, the only, the lovely, delightful Parallax Spectre. Mwah, glad to see you, Parallax. Hope you're having a good night. And she's not signing off on any Peeps. It's just sweet, low, and sawdust. And it's because you don't need teeth to eat Peeps. I gum the hell out of those little monsters. I'm telling you, they're awesome. And Carl Witzman has the answer. Moses would not ask for directions. There were no gas stations out there. Who would we ask? By God, there was no internet. So, so Eric, how about you? Who are you, and what did you read this week? What's that smooth segue?
What is it from Kindergarten Cop? Who is your daddy, and what does he do?
Oh, I was going to say, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. What does that have to do with my reviews?
Maybe
I was going to say, now I'm on the edge of my seat, that's for sure.
Maybe it's a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
So, I picked up a few books this week. This one, I don't know why I picked it up. I picked it up, put it back, picked it up, put it back, because I don't think I'll draw on it. But it is a sketch cover for 8 Billion Genies, but it's got the outline of the genie for you. The 8 Billion Genies number 6.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead number 3.
Ooh, that's
Which
nice.
I think this is one of the variant covers I picked up. I really like that one. But, much like Rodman's review, this is a book I could not find because it was sold out, because apparently it was so popular. And I don't know why.
Uh-oh. Calling the control tower.
So, this was announced months ago, and I was really excited about this book, even though it's from DC. And, but I picked it up anyway. And because, it's one of the Image books I looked forward to when they were coming out as all superhero books years ago, and it's Wildcats.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this was sold out in like 2 of the 3 shops I went to. I don't know if you could see this. Well, oh, yeah, you can see. Look how offset that cover is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Quality control there, mother.
Rated M for mature.
You can't feel that. It's not aerodynamic enough.
Yeah, we'll see. But I did pick up 2 of the shops completely sold out. And then when I did find it, they had all the variant covers, including the Jim Lee cover. That's the one I picked up because, Jim Lee created Wildcats. And I really enjoyed that book while it was coming out. For the most part, I think volumes 1 and 2. I don't know I think I might quit around 3. How many volumes were there? 5, 6?
Yeah. Kind of like how Gen 13 got, because the first couple volumes
hard to keep
and
tracks.
after that it's like.
And Fairchild is in here.
Oh,
okay.
No, not
never
so
mind.
It starts out with telling you the history of the Cherubim and the Demonites, and 1-page history, not really too much into it, but how they fought and they're looking for worlds to survive on. So,
then the artwork.
The artwork isn't bad, but it is not up to what I was expecting from a Wildcats book.
Well, it's Jim Lee, yeah.
But Jim Lee didn't draw the interiors.
No, he did not. So
wait, of the original books?
Oh, the original books he did 1 through 25, 24.
Okay, I was about to say I had those.
This book, no, it's more of a. I'm going to describe it as a manga artist trying to do mainstream comic books.
Wow.
Here, Do a close up real quick. I got to see
That's
this.
like good. That's a good luck with that. That's a good luck. With that.
Okay. Let's look at Zayla right here.
Huh.
So it's not bad.
I like it. I think it's interesting.
It's good art, but it's not bad. But it was not what I was expecting from this book.
Yeah.
And then here you go. Here's Grifter's new outfit: a windbreaker and a t-shirt, and some brown slacks, which
he
looks like his butt's in the front down there. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like Thor from Endgame.
Yeah, it's So him and I think Zayla. Oh, here's the other character that's part of the team now. Deathblow.
Oh wow.
Oh, Deathblow is over there with him now.
He's like in charge of the team right now.
Nice.
Which could be interesting, I guess, but I'm not going to find out. Because I liked Deathblow. You know, I liked everything that was coming out of Wildstorm Studios, and most of it. And this book is very disappointing to me.
Oh,
extremely disappointing. The only character that acts like the actual character is Zayla, because she goes around just killing a guy for no reason. But they're on a mission to go gather the scientist. They need his help for something. You don't know what. But then to prove his worth to Grifter, he's like, "Oh, let me show you what I can do." And he's got these chimpanzees in cages, and he's doing experiments on them. So he kills one of them. So then Grifter shoots him in the face. So now they gotta go find another scientist. He wasn't too happy.
Tough working conditions.
Void is still in the book, but you don't get a good look at her, and I don't think. Oh, here on the cover, see this skeletal figure in a spacesuit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's Void.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on there. What else? Marlowe just doesn't look right. I don't know if he looks too tall, but okay. So that's Philip Marlowe, who was the little bitty dude in the original book.
Who is that?
And that's Deathblow right there.
Okay.
So.
If you say so.
He's still short, but I don't know. He just doesn't look right. Oh, there's a better.
Why did they make him stockier?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what's throwing it off. He's stockier in this one. It's like he's never been that stocky. He's been short, but not. It's
and
like
his hair changes color throughout the book too. It's brown. It's gray. It's
It's a superpower.
He's going through a midlife crisis. Leave
so as you can tell, this is going to get a very high score from me. I just skipped this. So Void transports them out of that facility where the scientist just killed the chimpanzee and Grifter killed him. And as they transport out, Nightwing and Batwoman show up. Batgirl? I don't know which Batgirl that is.
Yeah, she's got a new code name. So she's a former Batgirl.
That one. I don't know. That's the one that's
superhero formerly known as Batgirl.
Yeah. So, so then they gotta find another scientist to go to. Grifter goes to a bar and meets a scientist. Lady Tron is back.
Oh, always liked her.
I did too, and that's about all you get to see of her. But she does talk to the team via comms during their missions. And there's Void up in her spacesuit, and that's pretty much all you get to see of her in this issue. There's no Warblade, there's no Maul, there's no Spartan. There might be a Spartan. A bodyguard shows up, but he's got the wrong color hair, so I don't know if he's Spartan or not. DC ads.
Excellent.
DC ads.
Nice.
Why
do they put the damn story in there? Just make a book of ads.
Yeah, I know.
Did it feel like that the writer had no idea about what was done previously?
I would say so, yes.
Because that's what it kind of felt like every time they revamped like Gen 13 and Wildcats or anything that was Wildstorm. It's almost like they had to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
Yeah,
did you
that's
read
what
any
I got
of
out of this?
Yeah. Did you read any of the old stuff, young man? No, I haven't. Okay. Would you like to be the regular writer?
Yeah, let me do it.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
you mean the UK team of basketball Wildcats? Yeah,
it is written by Matthew Rosenberg.
Who should know better?
Artist is Stephen Segovia. Colors by Elmer Santos, and the letters were Ferran Delgado.
I wish my name were Elmer.
Helmer. Oh, and CATS is now stands for Crisis Aversion Tactical Squad.
No, it doesn't.
And they call it, and even it's weird here because they don't say cats here, or we call ourselves Chrissav. I'm like, I don't, okay. Now here's going to be Joe's favorite part. Here's Caitlin Fairchild.
She looks off.
She's a child.
Yeah.
She lives up to her name.
Yeah.
She's a child, and when she uses her power, she turns into a grown woman, which makes Grifter, he finds it disturbing, and him finding it disturbing makes me disturbed.
Changed her power?
I'll go quietly, officers. I'll go quietly.
And
They
then
changed her powers.
and when she uses them, she passes out after a few minutes.
They
I mean,
changed
she
her
turns from a
powers.
child to a grown-up woman with big old breasts and makes the Grifter uncomfortable. She passes out.
That's like that superhero girl from Invincible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matthew Rosenberg writes some of that.
They have no idea what they're writing. That's not what Caitlin Fair. Oh God.
Yeah.
You've upset the joke.
And now they're on their second mission. Oh, well, okay. This looks interesting. I might want to pick up this Blue Beetle book.
It did look fun.
Yeah.
It
Jaime
did look
Reyes.
fun.
They've been doing Jaime Reyes some justice.
Yeah, this book looks good. This is the best part of this book. This ad. So, Green Arrow shows up to stop them from kidnapping another scientist.
Oh, good.
So he's got, Marlowe tells him not to kill him. Then you get some weird art here. It looks like Grifter gets maybe shot in the arm with the arrow, but there's no indication of that later. Right? Right there. No, it comes through the door. Then he wakes up Caitlin because he finds out all he's got to do is wake her up after she passes out and she uses her power again.
Oh, that makes sense.
But he even says that. All I got to do is wake her up. And Ladytron says via the comms, oh, yeah, that's all you got to do.
Really?
Does he wake her up with a kiss while she's still legal?
That's God, it's so
you got to be
bad.
quick about it, though.
That's right.
Uh-oh, too late. You're going to jail. Oh, no.
15 will get you 20, Grifter.
And
that whole scene is just, oh, God, that's just a bad scene. It's like,
reading all this made me forget why I wanted to pick up this book in the first place. Not only was it Wildcats, but the story was supposed to involve the Court of Owls.
Oh.
So after she busts a hole in the floor and they fall in the hole in the floor, well, that's where the Court of Owls is. They're in the hole in the floor.
Look at the last page.
Yeah.
Oh,
look at all
man.
weird. They're all. So this book.
Throw it.
so,
I was so excited when they announced this. And this week, the Wildstorm, 30th anniversary issue came out from DC. I am not going to pick up that piece of turd for anything. So, in the immortal words of Kevin Cronin, it's time for me to fly.
All right.
I was so disgusted reading this book, and especially, I love Gen 13. I like Gen 13 better than Wildcats. That was my favorite book of the Wildstorm books. And what they did to her, I mean, no wonder Grifter finds it disturbing. I found it disturbing.
It's weird.
Even I find it disturbing. You know what that says.
But I'll tell you what, I did give it a 4 though, because the art was it was decent. It wasn't one
I
I
was
was
just saying, I
expecting.
like the artwork. Yeah.
I was
nice.
expecting more. I don't know.
A
Travis
story?
Charest, Jim Lee, something in between there, maybe.
Yeah,
That's what I
going
was
from
expecting.
Jim Lee's art to that, though, yeah, I would see that.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
So I do give it a 4 out of 10, but and I threw it, so I really don't care for it, and they could suck it.
Well, my
Make-
Blade
make-
book doesn't sound so bad now.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm going to run out and get me a copy or two.
Yeah.
Oh, Clyde knows what's going on.
Uh-oh, there it
This was a
is.
good read, and I love this version of Blue Beetle. But one of the things that DC's doing with their younger heroes is, I saw this in the new Champion of Shazam, and in this, if you're a younger hero, you can't catch a break. I mean, they're going to make you miserable, and I don't know, that kind of left me a little colder. It didn't make my top 5 this week, but it was interesting, and I love the art. the art is very cool. So
Well, that's what I really liked about the ad. The art just jumped out at me.
Yeah.
I was
Eric's
wow,
like, the ad was better
this
than this
looks
whole comic.
great.
One damn readable
I
page
bought
in
the
the whole
wrong
book.
damn book.
yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I'll be picking it up. I'll be picking up future issues. That whole thing of, wow, that's kind of a blow to, hey, there's a big thing coming. We don't want you to take part. Oh, okay.
Well, screw
Sure.
you.
All right. I'll just go home because I just graduated. I'll go home. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. You just said you didn't want to go to college like your friends. Well, you're not coming home. Yeah, it's like, man. So hopefully it'll end that one in both that and the champion of Shazam will end on a happier note. But
Happier
the
note
beginning
than
was
Wildcats.
well, yeah.
I hit the window
doesn't
with
take
it. Too. I
much.
really chucked that thing.
What happened was you put it back in the back.
Yeah, too much
Gave it
drag
more
on that
weight.
thing. You need a little more, a little more
I was
lift
just
and
so
lift.
aggravated.
It
I've been
could- it
looking
could
forward
flap.
to that.
Yeah,
Page couldn't flap, therefore it soared.
that's right.
And now I don't care if it's going to involve the Court of Owls. I just don't care now.
Well,
I think
Wow.
that's
you lost
I
the
think
sale
that's what messed
DC.
it up. I honestly, I think that's what really messed that book up. Is like, why are you trying to reintegrate Wildstorm into the main DCU?
Because they
It
paid
was
for it.
fine within it. It's fine within its own, and you just have like you said, the idea of major crossover events instead of. There was no need for Nightwing and Batwoman to come over and to investigate. There was no need for that.
Joe, don't you know every DC book has to have some kind of Batman story?
Yeah, and
Hey,
that's
you
why
know
we
how
got
I've been
Watchmen all
protesting
over the
that
place.
too, Brian Rodman. You know how I've been protesting that too.
Hey, as a Batman fan, I
They
agree
were
with
building
you.
a
That
new
needs to
headquarters in
stop.
Central City because they left Gotham. Because Wayne was getting really weird about them being next door to him, so they left Gotham to go to Stardust.
So they got closer to the
Like, I don't
15-year-old
like my
/
neighbor.
23-year-old.
It's a bad book. It's so bad.
That's disturbing on
That's
so many
bad.
levels.
I hate that.
But Jim Lee's sitting over there in the corner, just
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
money, money, money.
Jim Lee's like, I care not, peasants. I care not.
That's right. Oh God! Thank you for inflicting that on us, Eric.
Hey, no problem.
And boy, howdy, do we have comments?
Oh wait,
Yes.
I did not read all of Sergeant Rock yet.
Yes.
Ah.
But I did read about half of it, and it starts out with something I really like with Hitler.
Oh,
But it doesn't continue with it.
That's
I
a
can
weird
tell yet.
sentence
I think
to
it's going
say.
to pick up more. It looks really interesting. Something's
Send
gonna
your
really
hate
happen.
mail to Eric at.
Eric, and I quote, it had something really interesting with Hitler.
Why am I having flashback to the Brown Hornet? It's like, how will Eric get out of this turmoil?
Yeah, Eric, let's see this.
I want to see zombie Hitler.
There we
If
go.
If Campbell
that
doesn't
would be
do it,
pretty
I
cool.
will do it.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
After you get done with the third issue of Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead, I'm kind of curious to see what you think about how the tone is going.
Oh,
Because this issue really struck me as I've been enjoying them, but this one I'm like, okay. I'm very curious what you think
Well, I
about the
didn't like
tone of it.
well, I know the second issue kind of went down a little bit. It wasn't as good as the first issue.
Mhm.
And I kind of expect this one probably not going to be as good as the second issue. But I think it'll pick up when they finally get the zombie Hitler.
We got the zombie Hitler, the Hitler that Eric likes.
Highlight. That story sucked till Hitler showed up. Then it got great.
Now there's one particular part of the narrative as it goes along that is much more prevalent in this one, and I'm like, why are you doing that? You should know better. But anyway, see what
Okay,
you
cool.
think.
I'll let you know.
Clyde is disappointed in you, Eric. That's what he's saying.
No, I'm not. No. And I agree. I think it's not really I would say it kind of leveled out from the second.
Oh, okay.
But this one thing just bugs me, and it's probably just me, but see what you think of it.
Is it Hitler? Is that what
No,
bugs you?
no, not about Hitler. No.
Hitler bugs me. I'm just saying.
So far, that was the best part of the book I read.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I liked Hitler a lot better than the age-shifting girls.
It's not just Hitler. We got Ava Braun, too.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
wait. Does Hitler turn into an adult woman? Because that would be great.
He becomes Eva Braun. It's a real twist.
Only on weekends.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it reminds me of this is a terrible joke that I heard this week on TikTok. That Adolf Hitler, the most evil man in human history, waged war on the human race for 7 solid years. And then he gets married to Ava Braun, doesn't even last till lunchtime. Marriage is tough.
My buddy Sean was single for many, many years, and I would always send him a Valentine's Day card meme that said, even Hitler had a girlfriend. What's wrong with you? Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, God.
Wow, that's pretty rough.
Yeah. Ouch. Well, here to cheer.
He's my dear friend. So.
Yeah. This is how we treat our friends. But anyway, imagine if we don't like you. And we are joined by the one, the only, the host of the brand new and greatly improved, never mind the furthermore, Mr. Nicholas Anthony Tucker. Also check him out, the Historical Fencing Guild, on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Nick, we are so glad you're here. And Parallax Spectre continues, Moses had the original GPS God positioning system. And some person says, I love peeps too, Brian. Thank you. That should be sane person. Thank you for it's just you and me against the world. And everyone quit on Volume 3, says Parallax Spectre. Yeah. And it looks like the Adventures books that have animated style art. Yeah, it's very anime or manga influence, which is okay. And I mean, back in the day, Wildstorm used a variety of art techniques, so, just, that's the only thing that fits in with the old Wildstorm days, and Vashta Narada, says Dan Hollowfield, and Parallax Spectre's offering Donna a donut, and it's easy to find a biker bar, but scientist bars are much harder to find, says Carl Witzman. He lives in Danville, Illinois. He should know. And you know me by so well, Parallax moves us said by Parallax. We love Parallax. And Lizzie says, I know, I trust the scientist. I'm meeting at the bar. Okay, there we go.
Well, the scientist did try to leave, but Grifter goes, oh, no, man, I'll buy. I got the corporate card. Stay.
Wow. And Boo Beetle is good, and Parallax Spectre gives it a solid 9 out of 100. And wow, Eric sounds like he's been drinking at the scientist bar. There are no rails. I wondered when Hitler would show up. Well,
yeah, I did make a batch of rum balls the other day, but they haven't fermented quite to my liking yet. They're still in a sealed container, but I'll have some on the show in a couple of weeks.
There you go. And Eric is fussy about his balls, so we're looking forward to that night. And you need to watch Order of the Black Eagle from 1987. Ooh. I would take a recommendation from you, Parallax. Thank you very much for that. Very cool. And thank you for your review, Eric.
Does Hitler turn into an adult woman in that movie? Because if not, I won't watch it.
But as soon as he does, he passes out.
Okay, this is a good thing. There we go.
Yes. Oh my God. And now I've got to follow that.
Good luck.
Prayers are gratefully accepted. Anyway, I'm Brian K. Morris. You can follow all my exploits at risingtide.pub. Check out our channel here on YouTube, because earlier this week we had a fun conversation with the return of Clever Title Pending and Master Ron Fitzgerald, a great Gothic illusionist out of the Chicago area, and the Master of Dark Sticky Magic. We had one hell of a fun time. And so check that interview out. That turned out rather well. And then I'm going to show you the comics I got this week. Nothing on Kindle, but we got Archie's Bob Phantom #1, brought back to you from Blue Ribbon Comics back in the day. Yay! And if you want to read my review, it is at our Facebook page, Comic Book Spectrum. Do a search for it, and you will read my review of Bob Phantom. And then I was grateful that a comic book came back that I actually enjoyed, and this will make up for any shortcomings, I'm sure, that with the Blade book My Bad, Volume 2.
There you go.
This is, and it's the same crowd came by to do these stories too, and it starts out with a public service announcement. That warning: 3 people died at the dye factory after handling the blue ink in this issue. Please hold judiciously. So, be careful when you're reading this book. We have the return of all the really cool people like the Emperor King, Rush Hour, and Acid Chimp. And some new heroes, and we have a diagram of Inside the Castle. Just like the old FF page, we meet some new heroes like the Amazon and Good Karen, who's out to save the reputations of all Karens, and a special hero page of Acid Chimp, and the new character Steel Integrity. This is just a hoot from...
No more Even Steven?
It's almost as cool as Even Steven, almost. But and a pin up on the back. But anyway, if you want to read my review of this, it will be on tomorrow on our Facebook page. So please check it out. And we'll also be reviewing this week online Superman Kal-El Returns Special, which places the Warworld saga, which I wish to God it would end, in the proper DC continuity for all you little fanboys out there. And also the first issue of the new Justice Society of America, the very first comic of the JSA in 10 years. So I liked it. We'll have the review up in the next few days along with some others. And I want to show you guys, though. I went to Ollie's this week.
Oh, no.
Your comics are pathetic and weak.
Oh, dear.
They are miserable. Wait, you see, this is like a real man's comic.
Oh.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Look how big that is.
I feel impotent.
No,
Which something I said on many a date. Anyway.
Hey, Brian, that makes your giant-sized man-thing have inferiority complex.
It does.
Brian?
It's big and
that's
it's
the best
Brian.
sentence
and it's
in the
hard.
world.
It is a hardback.
It is hard.
my.
It is very hard. You want to see how hard it is, and sure enough.
Oh, there it is.
Anyway,
Looking
and
the
you know what's
hard
even better?
Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah, and it's got some great people like Lennis Yu, Salvador LaRocca, Andy Kubert, and hey, Eric.
Uh-oh.
That'd make a good coffee maker.
Yeah, there we go. Shit, this makes a good coffee table. And now
Is it a
here's
coffee table book? No, it's the table itself.
just put a set of legs on this thing, and
Why is his name first? Because it's not alphabetical order.
Because he's the genius behind. Now, in all seriousness, though, I can turn to any page in here.
Oh, wow.
Is this like the comic book version of large print books? Is this?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a comic for old people.
Yes. I don't even need these to read it. You know what I'm saying? I'm having a neighbor stand across the street and hold this up.
Brian's like, Cookie, hold this and go across the room.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to read my comics.
And I'm holding this thing with both hands because I'm afraid to drop it on my foot.
Cookie now move it back and forth so it looks 3D. Come on.
Yeah. It's awesome. And you know what's even nicer about this book? I mean, it's a good-sized book. It's the entire miniseries here. It cost me $8.95.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, even if you hate the story, it's still a good buy. Certainly better than that piece of crap that Eric just reviewed. So anyway,
That's
this is like...
that's Marvel, and my book was DC. Oh, you walked into that one.
Oh, I did, man. I did. Well, this is the only good Marvel comic that's been put out in the last 50 years, aside from the Immortal Hulk. So anyway, so I'm giving this a 478 out of 10. But I'm doing it by metric weight.
Oh,
Let's say,
okay.
what does that calculate down to in normal comic books?
Oh God, my arms are tired from lifting it. I swear to God, it's like having a week's membership at a gym or something, just taking that thing around. So anyway, let's see. Here we go. Donna Carleen goes, "Look how big that is." That's what she said, and it's hard. Again, that's what she said. And behold, Galactus was that size, and it's the size of 4 comics and Silver Age bags. That's true. true. It's like, man, this seriously, and it's on glossy paper. It's hardcover.
That's when you would take to bed with you to read to go to sleep and just give yourself a concussion as you.
No joke. No kidding.
I have insomnia. Let me read this big old book. Okay,
How did he die? He was reading The Monsters Unleashed.
More like
It's a terrible story.
It was a fatal comic book reading accident.
like I would need a block and tackle to get that thing off of me if it falls on me. Good Lord.
He was pinned beneath an oversized comic book for 12 hours.
That's right. Cullen Bunn is being taken in for questioning now. But anyway, when Parallax Spectre says you can't read that on the pooper, though, my legs will fall asleep on there. That's for sure.
I like a good challenge. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's right. Our cameras will now be following Brian into the men's room. Anyway, I'm not saying it's me.
Nothing worse than sitting there and your legs fall asleep because your arms have been on your legs.
Yeah, this is just a book.
And it's like, oh, I can't get up. Oh.
It's like,
but the
just
nice...
like Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon 2.
Yes, there we go. The nice thing, though, is I think I could sit on the toilet and let it lean against the opposite wall.
It's like its own squatty potty.
It is. It's
the weight
awesome.
of the comic brings you forward.
See, there we go. All this entertainment that we've had just in the last 3 minutes. Tell me that's not worth $9. I challenge you, America. So anyway, that's my review of that book. And Rick Bradley, you were right. Rick Bradley told me about this a year ago. I understand now. I understand. So anyway,
I'm glad you like it, because if you threw that thing, you'd have an earthquake.
Yeah.
If I threw that thing, assuming I could even get that thing aloft with my only mere human strength, I'd need a new set of windows over there. Probably a new wall.
Because it's got Cullen Bunn's name on it.
Well, I didn't because I knew you would cry if I did. So anyway, Parallax Spectre says the size of that book is better than all of Snorkat's #1. See? There you go. And it has Fing Fam Foom in it. How can you knock that? I tell you. So anyway, now that I have brought this, somehow I have brought the level of this show up from down on the end. Anyway, so I have made it pure again for the gold standard, Mr. Clyde Hall, to save us. Please, Clyde, save us.
Save us. Won't somebody save us? Well, I don't know. I'll try. I'm Clyde Hall, and I'm an elder statesman of geekery and an independent author and a contributing writer at places like Stormgate Press. Brian has written for Stormgate Press, and I'm talking about both of them.
Yeah, that's true.
And for Christmas, you could do worse than going out to get the Pulp Reality series of anthologies, volumes 1, 2, 3, and recently released number 4. I have stories in all 4 of those, and I've also got stories in their Major Marjorie anthology of new pulp sci-fi adventures. And go to www.stormgatepress.com to see all of the things they have to offer. And you can also find most of these things on Amazon as well. So if you have somebody that loves the new versions of Pulp Splendor, they will thank you for a set of all 4 volumes of Pulp Reality, the award-winning Pulp Reality series.
Yes, indeed.
Pulp Factory Awards last 2 years. So I also found out that I have a short story that appeared in Indelible Prose #2, Indela Proser. It's published by Dave No, and it's a high-flying Dell comic throwback tale from their bygone monster superhero days, featuring their Dracula and his crime-fighting partner, Fleta. I had submitted it a long time ago, and I didn't think it ever saw print, but I found out it did. So go on Amazon, and you can get that also. If you like the really obscure superheroes, and the Dell characters were bad. They were just bad, but they're fun to write and try to make them good. So I would be very curious, any kind of reviews. There's a few of them up there on Amazon that have been positive about it, very positive. But I write comic book reviews for online sites like doomrocket.com and comicsbeat.com, and on the Facebook comic book Spectrum page that the other guys were talking about. But most Thursdays, I'm live and in color right here with my amigos on Comic Book Spectrum. So, my review this week. Oh, the things I picked up this week and made my top 5. The final issue of Star Trek Lower Decks. Very satisfying ending, tying up both of these storylines that they began, and in a very humorous and cool way. Very, very much like the TV show, if you like it. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with the Justice Society of America, but I like it. It's different than anything that we've seen them do before. New characters and a timeline with Helena Wayne as once again as the Huntress.
I like that.
Yeah, in a world where
they brought her back. Okay.
Yeah, it's really. I'm not like I said. They had that JSA with the young heroes that nobody can remember, that they disappeared. This is building on that, and I'm not sure where they're going, but I will be along for the ride. This is interesting stuff, especially something different than you've ever seen the Justice Society members go through before, and that's saying something given how long they've existed. So.
That's very interesting, considering that Helena's Earth was destroyed a long time ago.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's part of the multiverse, things that they're doing, I'm sure. But this goes in a direction that just it shocks me every time, but in a good way. So, what were you going to say, Brian?
Well, I was going to say, I think it looks like we're getting Earth 2 back. I mean, we still had it during the New 52 days.
Right.
But it was a greatly altered one. But it looks like they are trying to bring it back to what I would call the pre-crisis Earth 2. Mm-hmm. With a very separate JSA, very separate Power Girl and Huntress, and I'm aside from the time jumping.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing. It does.
It's a little strange, but so far it's been handled quite well. Mm-hmm. Jeff Johnson's done a good job on this. So.
Yeah. I'll be along for the ride, just to see where they take it, because it's very intriguing. Nightwing Annual. These are some great stories. We see Tom Taylor puts a little capstone on all the work that he's been doing on this title with a villain that has existed, but we didn't know his story. Well, now we do. Bitewing also gets a special little story in here. So good stuff. Cool. Bob Phantom, what a surprise. This is a very corny old Archie character that they made relevant, kind of like the Walter Mitty of comic book characters. It's really, really cool. There was a deal, and I put this on your review, Brian, that apparently there was maybe a miscommunication between artist and writer, because there's one plot point that is rendered differently than it's described. About a tattoo and a witness.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of odd, but overall, for the stuff that Archie's been putting out, this one and the Fox issue a few months ago, these are some really good reimaginings of these classic characters.
Yeah, about the only one that I've had any issue with was one of the first ones that they did actually over a year ago, and that was the Chilling Tales of Sabrina or whatever, or the one with Madam Satan in it.
Yeah, the one I threw.
Yeah, the one you threw, and I was right behind you with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah, that was bad.
This year's made up for it. They have gotten better, but then again, they couldn't have gotten worse than that one, I don't think. So that's true. At least everyone stayed the same age.
8 billion genies.
There you go.
Oh my! Isn't that just? I don't want to give anything away, but this is probably my favorite series of the year.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's so good.
Maybe that's what we need to do at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Have a best of.
Yeah,
we could do that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I got monkey meat around here somewhere.
Okay, monkey. Okay, we'll each have 3 of them. Monkey. Eric's got monkey meat and wildcat, so he's got 2/3 of it taken care of.
What'd you say, Joe?
That's like it's a thing. All of that has came from a person who wrote the She-Hulk, especially a series that most people slept on or complained about.
Yep.
Isn't it great to be on the bandwagon before everybody else, and you have a best seat that way? But the book that I'm going to review is actually, it came out last week, but I liked it well enough, and it's kind of a different one. So I thought, well, this would be. It pleased me. It's not a fantastic book, but it's very interesting. This is from Aftershock, Fear of a Red Planet #1. I tried to find out if it was an ongoing or a miniseries, and it looks like they had covers and blurbs for 4 issues, so I'm assuming that it's a 4-issue mini, but I don't know for sure. Show you some of the artwork here. We have a mission to Mars in 2050. And like they always do, or most of the Aftershock do, we've got all the credits on the cover inside out of the way and taking up no space. And I think all the ads are in the back, like we always give people kudos for. We got a landing on the red planet 20 years later. As you can see, some things have fallen into disrepair. Let's see here. We have a interplanetary marshal, the only one. She makes her dramatic appearance during a dispute. And we get to see a little bit of what everyday life on Mars is like for the colony that has been established there. And we also get to see that space isn't always friendly and technological. This is the result of some kind of an incident aboard the International Space Station in the future. Yeah, it looks pretty violent. They allude to it. They don't explain it. But Fear of a Red Planet #1 is from Aftershock. The cover price is $4.99. It's written by Mark Sable. Art and colors by Andrea Olimpiri. Letters by Dave Sharp. Maturity level is rated Teen Plus, and while I write for various sites, this is my own independent feature, and it should not be considered representing any views of those other sites. Westerns set in space can be a lot of fun, whether they're done as space opera like Star Wars or Firefly, or sci-fi like Outland. And in the case of the more realistic science fiction takes, the space pioneer of sturdy stock and rugged individualism pitted against an extremely deadly and unforgiving environment is action and adventure, with one buckaroo boot planted in the Old West and one lunar boot scruffing the alien landscape all up. Well, Fear of a Red Planet #1 is a whodunit hybrid of this sort of a tale, with a Martian colony is as its alien Deadwood, and the workers there supported yet dominated by earthbound business interests. The story opens in 2070, and the colony, which began as mankind's first truly interplanetary step into strange new worlds, is 20 years old. Lofty ideals have given way to bottom lines of net earnings and profits. Following a sabotage of robotic mining drones, a company man, Yates Reiser, oversees the small colony, and he decides how much each human miner's backbreaking work is worth. There's a yearly supply ship that arrives from Terra, and Reiser decides how many supplies that you've earned. If you fall short, you may have to do without supplies for 6 months, or find alternative and unpleasant ways to pay. Think of the pre-United Mine Workers coal towns, where you have laborers and company men, and where the workers' souls and families and homes are all owned by the company store, literally. Well, in this Mars colony, either the company's making money from the workers, or former workers have figured out ways to profit from the others by setting up their own side businesses. The common goal of these enterprises is shared. Shear the workers like sheep and keep them dependent, producing, and consuming. Like all good frontier settlements, you have the standard residents. There's a functioning alcoholic town doctor, a barkeep, a farmer, a rebel, an orphan, a manipulated labor force, and one UN-appointed interplanetary marshal. That's the lady you saw named Carolina Law. In 2 decades, there's been bickering and suicides, and there's been some disputes, but Mars has never had a murder until now. And the least popular Martian resident was killed, leaving martial law needing to sift through the usual suspect list, one that includes just about the entire town in search of the killer. The Good. Writer Mark Sable channels the futuristic management and labor dynamics that are touched on in films like Alien and its sequels, as well as the previously mentioned Outland. He keeps the technical advances reasonable for a near-future story, and it adds to the realism that we've come to expect with humanity's decade-spanning first steps into the void of space. Nothing seems to get developed fast, and there's certainly the case here. We recognize most of this tech, although a few things are a little bit more advanced. His characters fit well into their Western stereotypes with additional small and inventive tweaks needed for a futuristic tale. It echoes the theme that as humanity's settings, technologies, and situations change, the human condition often remains mostly constant. The mystery element is set up well enough, if a bit ham-handed, because we're left wondering who wouldn't want to grease this victim, and for a multitude of different reasons. Artist Andrea Olimperi scratches out a visual tone which serves for imaging a settlement and a populace hobbled together from former containers and ship parts, and a citizen population of former spaceflight crew members turned into permanent residents on the planet. The Bad. Given this rough and tumble nature of the Mars colony and the fact that it's a frontier sort of town, it's unlikely that the first murder took 20 years to happen, unless there have been others concealed as accidents or suicides, and that's quite possible. There may be a moratorium on weapons or gun ownership, seems to be, but there are tools that can be used just as well as weapons. There's also 3D printers where they can make weapons, including guns, and a bar for lubricating better judgment until emotions reign. So, in a pinch, human beings could use rocks to smash their enemies, real or imagined. So unless the colony's early days forced cooperation for survival, and that habit really stuck with everybody, 2 non-murdery decades is a long time in this setting. So I'm not sure I buy that. While Andrea Olimperi's art style fits the story for the first issue character introductions, that same style makes it sometimes difficult to tell who's which or what or who. Most of the characters, most of them are pretty easy, but there are a few that I had to go back and look and see who they were for sure. A memorandum regarding backgrounds on the main colonists as supplied by corporate is the content of the last section, the last few pages, and it looks like this. This is a memorandum from Earth about all of the different people. Most of who we meet, at least briefly in the story. It adds some marginal details not supplied by the narrative, although the narrative is pretty well done to give us a feel for each of these folks. I don't know that it gives enough details to justify a clunky fleshing out that tells rather than it shows the reader. To be fair, if it is a 4-issue mini, space limitations may have required that approach, but it didn't impress me as much as the writing did for introducing little nuances to everybody's characters. The takeaway: this premiere issue is imagining how a Mars colony could realistically begin and what it might devolve into over 2 harsh decades, and that is interesting futurism. The whodunit portion is initially less captivating, given the broad cast of suspects and the nature of the deceased. But I will probably pick up the next few issues to see just how the creative team spins both parts of its narrative. Fear of a Red Planet #1 gets a Game of Laser Smoke Fast Draw score from me of 7 out of 10.
All right.
Nice.
Excellent.
Bit of a low score.
Well, it didn't. The whole idea that the murder seems to be, who would want to kill this victim? It just kind of left me like, okay, but the futurism aspects, the technology, how the colonies develop, that's really good. So, but I think that the murder mystery is supposed to be the main gist of it, and that doesn't really work as well for me as it could.
Yeah.
You know, when everybody is a suspect, I get this crink in the back of my neck that says we're going to have another Orient Express, maybe a Martian Express, where everybody did it. You know?
or a weird Knives Out.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, that's it.
And that could be good. I mean, it may evolve and do better, but for the first issue, the futurism was interesting. The whole, well, who could possibly have done this? Not so much, but.
Well, we've got a review of your review from Carl Wisman. Sounds somewhat interesting. And Lizzie said there's an unsolved murder in Missouri that had a victim like that. Very unlikable guy, and a lot of people had reason to want him dead. Yeah, that happens. And Parallax Spectre says, I'm going to need a review from you fellas about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny trailer. I just noticed it today. I've not seen it.
I have thoughts.
Yeah.
Let's hear your thoughts.
I think the trailer was better than the entire Kingdom of Crystal Skull movie.
Boy, it sure is action-packed.
It genuinely looks like an Indiana Jones movie that like in more ways than the previous one ever did. And I don't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I rewatched it again a couple years ago. It's much better than I remember it being. It's still not very good, but
much better or just better than
it's much better than I remember it being, but still not good. Yeah. So it's when I first saw it, I hated it.
You threw it, didn't you?
What is this garbage?
Like a bad comment.
Yeah, I was like, this is terrible. And then I watched it again a few years ago, and it's because I did like just a marathon of all of them. And when you watch it that way, it's much better. But this looks like, this looks like your traditional Indiana Jones feel. I think it's gonna look amazing. So no, I'm excited now. I was a little worried because he's like 80.
Well, he is 80.
Yeah, I know.
80.
I was like, this is Indiana Jones in the hospice care. So I'm not, I wasn't really sure what we were gonna do with this.
He turning into Sean Connery like in Last Crusade.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing with this, and I think that's a really good direction to take it. So I'm excited about it. It got me feeling good about it. I love the title. Because obviously we didn't know what it was till today. So I think I think it'll be pretty cool. I'm excited about it.
Do you know what the parade? Do you know what that is in honor of when there's the parade scenes?
No, what is it?
You want me to tell you?
Sure.
Go ahead.
That's the ticker tape parade in New York for the returning astronauts of Apollo 11.
Oh,
okay.
Ah, yeah.
Nice. Okay, explains the NASA aspect then.
And the Nazi aspect.
Yeah.
Who took
them
part,
again?
Who took part in a lot of the technology to get us to the moon?
Yeah.
That's true.
Paperclip. Adult woman Hitler. That's who did it.
That's right.
Played by Michael.
Adult woman Hitler.
I haven't watched the trailer yet, but from what I've read, this one's going to involve time travel.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I haven't heard that. No,
I haven't heard that, but they do have some scenes where he's de-aged because it goes back to the Nazi years.
Yeah.
But no, it just reminds me of an old song by Tom Lehrer about Werner von Braun. I can count. I can, in 3 languages, I can count down, and I'm learning Chinese, says Werner von Braun. So anyway, Parallax Spectre has got our legs folded to listen to Uncle Clyde. And Carl Witzman has a little bit of envy here, just when I thought that we have all the pulp realities, another one is released. Check it out. It's a good-looking book, a great Jeffrey Hayes cover.
I think it's the best one yet.
I would agree. And he also did the front piece to my story in there.
Yes,
Too Many Ghosts for number 17. So, and we have I invoked his name, and here comes Rick Bradley. Good evening, comic book lovers. How's things? Rick, I'm a believer. Rick's the one who told me about this.
Ah, there you go.
So, pardon me, I
Rick,
gotta
you
be
missed
careful.
a lot of inappropriate jokes, so make sure to hit the rerun.
Oh yeah, and hit it hard. And Like Sector says, "Hi, Brad." Everyone's saying hi to Brad, and yes, that would be a difficult murder to solve. Oh, everyone hated old Earl. He got on everyone's back. About that backside, no, bad side. And hey, the whole quirky quintet are here.
Yes.
And he loves how Fallout 3 had a random thing out in the wasteland of an explorer in a fridge, but he's definitely toasted from the nuke. And I need to introduce my kids to the Indiana Jones trilogy. That's right. Just play the first 3. You're on safe ground there.
And the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, maybe.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Harrison Ford was in a few of them, actually.
Yes, he was.
Yes. Colin Baker from Doctor Who was in a couple also.
Yeah.
That was a good series. That was a fun series, I remember. I liked it. But anyway, Rad, we're glad you're here, buddy. Hope you're doing well tonight. So, does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss comic-wise?
I am rereading Spawn and loving it.
From the beginning?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, I am. Rick Bradley actually is assisting me in doing so.
Okay.
He shared with me his.
For you? What?
Yes, pronouncing the hard words. Why?
He feeds me grapes as yeah. Well, turning pages is a hard job when you can't breathe. So he makes his way down here. I pay him in food, and it's good. I pay him in food and sex, and we're fine. But
excellent. I'm taking the next shift.
He shared his digital library with me, and
are we talking comics or something else? His
well,
digital. Oh, okay, yeah.
But it's really good. I mean, I remember because obviously Spawn came out when I was a kid, and I was so young, and I really didn't read the books when they first came out. I just mostly guffawed at Todd McFarlane's art, and then as a teenager, I got Volume 1 in trade paperback, and I was like, "This sucks," and the writing was just bad. The stories were good, but now I'm rereading them, and again, I'm fine. I'm really liking them. I think I was just a jaded, stupid head when I was a teenager. I really do like it. The writing's not great, but it still holds up. And there are a few moments where I'm like, okay, Todd, you're putting on your author's hat. But anyway, I'm closing in on the issues where Greg Capullo shows up, and those are exceptional. No, but I'm having a blast because I'm reading the King Spawn books and the Gunslinger Spawn, and there's just so much that either I've forgotten or just haven't read. I mean, my goodness, it's not like Spawn's been going for 30 years. But there's so many stories, and I was like, you know what? I have the time. I have hoopla. I'm doing it. And so, so I'm almost at the end of issue 50 now.
Nice.
Yes.
The only thing that I can say, and I'm not a Spawn fan, only because of one particular thing.
Yeah.
The main character's background never really played a factor in a lot of the stuff, especially when it talked about Simmons' past.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
The fact that his nationality never played a factor in any of his choices and some of the outcomes that he had to face, especially dealing with his wife and all this other stuff. But you get into that stuff a little bit later.
Okay, I was going to say that the stuff that really we've only touched on so far in rereading it is, we do discover like he's just like past villains and things like that, or mostly what he's. But I mean, it still does like. It harkens back to those days, but yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten into too much in depth
right about him himself until you get. I think it's like around like 70 or 80, around 60, 70 or 80, when you really start he really gets into this doldrum where he really reflects on his life, and it's like, and you kind of like, wait a second,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think McFarlane was taking a hiatus from the writing on the book by that point.
Yeah, I know around issue 60 or so, I think.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
after Greg Capullo started doing the art already.
Right.
He stepped down and he just did the stories essentially,
Right.
like kind
And
of a
some
Mike
of the inking,
Mignola.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what he does mostly now is he's just he has the stories, he does some of the writing, and then he's an inker.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, so far I'm digging it. I'm having a lot of fun. It's some of it is just so goofy. Is some of the stuff like the Violator, of course, is just so stupid. And I hear Keith David's voice from the animated Spawn, which is right up there with any animated show, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so well, the first 2 seasons, third one, but it kind of went off the rails. But and then of course when I read the Violator, all I hear is John Leguizamo from the movie. He's so
we were
good.
talking about him in his early roles last night, and I'm like, Spawn movie.
He was perfect in Spawn.
He
I mean,
was.
honestly, I like the movie. It's very dated, but like, Michael Jai White, he's not the best actor. He did an okay job as Spawn. I thought the makeup was amazing. The practical effects still hold up, in my opinion, for that movie. But yeah, John Leguizamo is Clown, and the Violator is perfection. It is just so much fun.
Tell you what, if you want to see him do something like that, but a little different, there was a TV movie of 1001 Arabian Nights back in the 90s. Right. And he plays, in the Aladdin story, he plays the kind of sinister, sneaky genie, the Ifrit, and his brother, the dumpy little genie of the ring, who's kind of a goofus, and he plays both parts, and they look so different.
That's fun.
But yeah, it's cool. A great role.
Yeah, no, it's so funny because, like, I mean, when I was a kid, the first movie I saw him in was the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet.
Oh,
right.
And so, like, it's this very serious, epic role. And then you see him as Clown.
What kind of stuff were you watching?
John Leguizamo.
I watched
John
everything.
Leguizamo. So you go directly to that. So you missed out on Day of the Dead.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, I didn't watch Day of the Dead when I was a kid. I watched it when I was a teenager. I mean, when did Romeo and Juliet come out? What was it, like 95, 96?
That sounds right.
Something like that. I mean, I first watched it. I didn't go to the theaters to see it. I couldn't. I was wee babe. But I thought I saw it on I saw it on VHS at home, and but it was only like a year or so after it came out in theaters that I watched it. But yeah, that was the first movie I saw him in, and then I watched Super Mario Brothers. That was the second. I remember
from the sublime to the ridiculous. Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, it's that dude from Shakespeare.
Well, that shows he has range.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
If he would have watched Day of the Dead and then watched Super Mario Brothers, he would have been like, wow, range.
Yeah, and then what is it, The Pest?
Yes.
You guys watch that movie? Yeah. Yes. So like he's all over the place.
Yeah.
I really want to see. He's in a new movie called The Menu, and that looks really good.
Yeah. Let's see here. We've got some more comments here. Carl Witzman says, good show, and I got to see all the reviews before I skipped off to stupid o'clock. 9 o'clock tonight. Check it out. It's a good show. And Rick Riley says he's a professional page turner, and I've not shared my adult digital stash yet. Sending many terabytes over my slow internet takes forever, and especially with only one hand to do it. And John Leguizamo was the best Violator. I loved him. And first I was like, WTF, and then I watched Spawn about 9 times in the theater.
Yep.
I have the riff tracks of Super Mario Brothers. It becomes watchable with that. I can see. And Carl says no to Wong Fu with love. That's the one I was thinking of when you were talking, Brian. That's the one I was thinking of.
Patrick Swayze has his nights.
Great movie. Great freaking movie.
Yeah. To Wong Fu with love. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmars.
Yeah,
right.
That's
the one. That's the one. Oh my God, that's such a great movie.
Yep,
such a good movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, and We've got some time left.
We did have another.
Alright,
we did have
we
another
did it.
trailer drop besides Indiana Jones. Almost the same time they did
Guardians. Yeah.
Guardians trailer, and I got to watch the
I haven't
Guardians
seen that either.
holiday special.
How
I
was
like,
that?
I like the
Is
holiday
it?
special.
Yeah, I
It is
haven't watched
corny,
it yet.
but
Is it good?
It's like the Star Wars holiday special,
Ooh.
but more fun.
Oh, okay.
It intends to be like that with special guest stars.
Yeah.
Music, great music.
I
But
bet
it
the
actually,
Kevin Bacon bit's pretty funny.
yeah, bacon bits are always good. And,
We like bacon bits.
There's actually a deal that happens in it that is going to should impact Guardians 3 quite a bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
that kind of surprised me. But
Yeah.
all right then.
Interesting.
Cool.
Rad
Hopefully my
Publishing says
post
that he'll
about
be.
Werewolf by Night to throw people off.
Rad Publishing says I'll be watching his new movie Violent Night, and Parallax Spectre says John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins were drunk constantly on the set of Mario Brothers, and that's the only way they could deal with it. Parallax says Rick Bradley. That's true.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
forgot
I have
he's
to do to
the
get through
villain.
the show some nights.
Yeah, I forgot he's the villain on Violent Night. I need
That's
to.
right.
My dad and I are probably going to go to the theater and watch that. Maybe if my health will allow me
Wait, John
to. But
Leguizamo is the villain?
he's
or-
the bad guy. Yeah, he's
Nice.
the. I mean, because it's essentially Santa Die Hard. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
so he plays the Alan Rickman role.
Oh, very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
He's Hans Gruber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Weird casting choice, but okay.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, I started watching Willow the movie today. I'm rewatching the movie, and then I'm going to jump into the series. I haven't watched the movie in a couple years, and it's still, man, it's so good. I love that movie so much. Val Kilmer is great in that movie.
That's what I was thinking about. That's like Val Kilmer before he became Iceman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Val Kilmer in Willow and in Tombstone. Those are my two favorite Val Kilmer performances.
Real Genius.
Real
Genius was really cute for him.
Yeah,
As a little
yeah.
teen comedy too. I like that.
Top
I like
Secret.
Yep.
Top Secret was hilarious. He was fantastic in that.
And of course, The Saint.
Saint was pretty good, although I'm still a die-hard Roger Moore guy. So
I liked The Saint because I hadn't seen anything before. I knew nothing of the character before that movie.
Yeah.
And I really, and of course, to me, I was like, Batman's in something, and that was my logic for watching it. So now he's my least favorite Batman.
Heat, yeah, that's another good
Mine
one.
too.
Heat. He's very good in Heat.
That's true.
Yeah.
Is.
I think that's why I first took him very seriously. That's a real serious part for him, especially it came like right on the heels of Batman, because they were giving him all kinds of crap for being Batman when he showed up on the Heat set with all the big names. They're like, "Hey, Batman, how are you?"
That's true. That's
Apparently,
true.
he was a huge dick on the Batman Forever set. So
Well, you'll also notice that I think, with the exception of the Top Gun movies, maybe he's not had the same director twice.
no, I've heard he's notoriously difficult to work with.
Yeah.
So.
And I heard that one time he went to Gen Con as a special guest, went in, sat down, signed for just a few minutes, and decided it was too much work for him. Literally got back on the plane and went home.
Now, was that, I heard that too, but I also heard that was because that was when he was really struggling with his throat cancer stuff.
That's, well, except this was like a long time
okay.
before.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay. Because I
pardon me
know
if
he
I'm
did that at a
cynical.
couple other shows
Yeah.
too, but it was during that time. So I know a lot of people were giving
And
him
he
grief.
still
but
goes to those shows.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
he
at
does.
Lexington.
There's
There's
better
a-
behave now.
There's a documentary of him on.
Yeah, Val.
Yeah, with his
On
son
Hu-
doing the
it's on
voiceover.
Hulu. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because apparently he videotaped his entire life.
Yeah, I thought that was a
Wow.
really interesting idea.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Yeah. Parallax Spectre says if they made an X-Men movie in 1993, it should have been Bob Hoskins as Wolverine. They were actually, a lot of people were lobbying for that because he was the right height, I guess. And Donna Carley says, "Good show later." So thank you, Donna. Well, I love you, hun. Glad to see you here. Bad Publishing.
Wait. Bob Hoskins is the right? No.
He's closer to it than Hugh Jackman.
He's the right height
That
for Wolverine.
Yes.
Bob Hoskins is taller than 5'2".
Well,
Not
in
much.
comparison to Hugh Jackman, he's better.
Yeah, that's
he's
it.
closer to the
That's
height.
why I
Yeah.
say it's like if you're going to go with Wolverine, it's like who do you know that's almost like Danny DeVito height that could pull it off?
Tom Cruise.
I was about to say Billy Barty, but
Tom Cruise is a little guy.
he's so cute. He'll grow up to be a real boy one day.
You got me there, Brian. You got me there, Robbie. You got me there. You got me.
And Rad Publishing says if I take my whole life, it would be boring. Mine would probably get me condemned by the Vatican. And speaking of which, Parallax Spectre says no one's better than Roger Moore. Blasphemy, Rodman.
I don't know. I've not seen it. So.
I believe Sean Connery would take offense to that.
Oh, yes.
Well,
no, he wouldn't because he's dead. So.
That's true.
He's dead now. But I thought about it.
That's what he wants you to think.
The whole thing about super spies and whatnot.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, I found an old British comedy show from the early 60s where Roger Moore actually played James Bond in it. On YouTube. I'll have to find that for you guys. Anyway, no one's better. But I'm thinking as far as the Saint goes, Roger Moore is the man.
He is the man as far as the Saint. And that's the only reason why they even approached him for being Bond.
Oh yeah, he turned down. They originally the producers offered him the role of Bond, but he had just signed the contract for the Saint television series, and I think he owned a piece of it. So he said, "Okay, I'm going with the Saint for now." So
his best Bond role was Cannonball Run.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. And Rad Publishing says, I'd be perfect for Wolverine. I'm only 5'4". So everyone, write the producers at Marvel, write Kevin Feige, Rick Bradley for Logan.
There you go.
I'm just saying. Okay. And with that, we have hit 2 hours. And it's been fun.
Yeah.
There's no
hey,
disputing.
guys, I lasted the whole show.
I know you're enjoying it. It's amazing.
Progress.
Whoa, slow down there.
I'll be in bed.
Yeah, pace yourself. We still have a couple minutes left.
Well, I think it's because I slept for like 3 hours before the show. That's why.
Good.
And before that, I did nothing during the day. So
Good man.
I prepped for this.
Parallax Spectre is taller than Rad, so there.
I'm 6'2", so I'm taller than him too. How's that? There you go.
I'm fun-sized.
You are.
So-
You're a little snack-sized, Brian.
I
like
am.
it.
I'm a tasty little morsel. Anyway,
Let's make Eric as uncomfortable as possible.
but Eric will
Yeah.
Eric will be happy to find out that I turn into a 6'5" guy. You know,
Oh, yeah,
until I
yeah.
go unconscious.
Then you go back to the 12-year-old. Oh,
And his
so
boobs are
creepy.
enormous. It's crazy.
Oh, it's
Makes
so
everyone
creepy.
uncomfortable.
So
We
I'm
gotta
that
do
happy.
something about his tiny mustache, though.
You know, that dude ruined an entire mustache for
Right? I
Yeah.
know, right?
I
No
know.
one can do that style ever again.
Oh no, there's no way.
Yeah, you can't. You show up at a party with that? Nope, you're done. You're canceled.
The funny thing is, there is a group from LA went to England, became a huge hit there. Now they're kind of a cult favorite on both continents. Called Sparks. It's a pair of brothers, and one of them, who plays keyboards, actually sported what he thought was a Charlie Chaplin mustache.
Oh no!
Well, it was.
I mean,
it was.
But
it was, however, but he.
Until a Austrian painter said, "Ooh, I like that mustache too."
Yeah, we got to have that thing. And well, I think one of the things that made him change his mind was he was introduced on a talk show one time, not long ago, that that movie where Tom Cruise played the guy that was out to assassinate Hitler.
Yeah.
And the host made a joke about, well, one of the brothers was busy writing new songs while the other one was trying to keep one step ahead of Tom Cruise. So he adopted like a little thin mustache after that. So, and Parallax Spectre knows me so well. Nuh-uh, Brian, you're Peeps flavored. There we go. So anyway, guys, here we go. One more comment, and until that zombie guy that turned into a woman came around and became chancellor. We have a new theme for the show. Anyway, what say we go around the room here? We'll start with Brian, then Joe, then Eric, then Clyde.
It's a new mascot.
Oh no!
And I'm terrified to ask what.
We're gonna see at 3 a.m. It's gonna be the picture of like God Save the Queen from V for Vendetta, but it's Hitler.
And I'm thinking we're gonna find out what Eric will be drawing tonight on the show of his. And I think we just regardless of what the theme is supposed to be, I'm gonna wait. We're all gonna wake up in our shared thread on Facebook and find this picture of like Eric's new hero.
Right.
Little Hitler.
Eric, the theme was My Little Pony. Why did you draw Hitler? I don't understand.
Why did he go from like a little pony to now he's a majestic stallion now, but he's lying on the floor
with a little mustache.
Now I have to go listen to the song "Tiny Mustache" by Stephen Lynch.
There you go. And there's also a song called Little Hitler by Nick Lowe.
Yeah.
And Girl Chancellor, new villain for Amazonia.
There you go.
Yeah. He said disgruntledly.
Joe remains unimpressed. Gonna have to keep campaigning on that one. So anyway, let's go around the room. Brian, where can people keep track of your amazing exploits?
Well, I don't know how amazing they are, but brianrodman.com, you can go there, and literally at the top of the menu bar has every place I've ever been and ever will be. And you can just click on any of those links and they'll take you to all my social medias, everything. We've got a shop, which right now, we are also doing the Stormgate Press, through our online store as well, so you can go there or Amazon.com, but definitely pick it up wherever you buy it. Buy it; it's so good. The whole book, every writer just brought 110% to this book, and also on Patreon right now. Due to my health, I'm not really drawing a whole lot, so I'm mostly focusing on finishing up the nebulizer. Which is coming out in January. As long as nothing goes wrong, I should be done by the end of the year, and we'll start fulfillment next month. So, but I am doing a novel now of Memoirs of an Angel. Everything the comic has been or would be is now going to be in a series of 4 novels. And they'll be illustrated. You'll get a lot of really cool black and white illustrations that, similar to the comic book style as well. So we're going to have some panels throughout the book. It's going to be very much a hybrid between a traditional prose work and a comic book. So it'll be cool. It'll be big, 8.5 by 11. So really nice size, almost as nice a size as Brian's book. And but right now on Patreon, I am releasing a chapter a week. So for little as $2, you can go to patreon.com/Brian Rodman and join the adventure and get ahead of everybody else before it comes out next year. So you're going to want to do that. Other than that, I am Brian Rodman, and this has been a blast. And I am so happy that I made it to the end of the show for the first time in months.
Yay!
And
So are we, my man. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for allowing yourself to be had. And now here's Jody McFee.
Hey, if you want to get in contact with me, there's the link tree right there. You can always find all the links and everything. For those who are on my mailing list, you guys know that the code for our online store is good into this upcoming Tuesday, if I'm correct here. And if you are not, then you missed out on the discount code and everything. And for those who've been keeping up score and everything, as far as what happened to the drawing.
Yay, I was going to ask.
Oh, yeah.
Nicely done.
So, yeah, I haven't been on my sketchbook pretty much the last couple of weeks here, but I have did something at least for today, trying to get back into the groove and everything. And this week's show still, same thing, different day. We're still working on Primetime Saturday Night number 4 before we could get that done, before we could go ahead with issue 8 for Amazonia.
All right. Excellent. That it, Joe?
Yep, that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you,
Unless you
sir.
want me to
Just
sell
want to make
something
sure.
Unless you want me to sell something else.
No. You've sold enough. Your human soul is all we need. And thank you, though. and now here is the one, the only, the Eric S. Hawkins.
But what are you showing tonight?
All my links right there. I'm finishing up Zombie Full Adventures. I'm drawing a couple pages. I didn't like how it looked, but then it's not going to ship till February, so I'm good there. Though I wish I would have had it ready for this weekend or last weekend because my printer had 25% off for Black Friday.
Ooh, wow.
That sucked. Anyway, so Zombie Full World of Oz #5 will launch in April, just like every year. And special guest, Zombie Hitler.
I'm there.
But tonight on the Drawing Quarter Fan Edition, they will be doing a Jason David Frank tribute.
Nice.
So Power Rangers, I will not be on that show. I am going to go to bed early because I have to go to the office tomorrow. And since I've been a little under the weather most of the week, I don't want to, stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning and try to get up at 5.
Ooh.
Why not, Eric?
Normally I will do that, but I've been a little coffee and congested. So tonight I'm going to go to bed early, I think, instead of going on the show. So other than that, that's about it.
Translation ego is not going to allow him to say I'm just better than everybody else. They haven't shown me any true competition, so I'm going to take it easy and let somebody else win to have some type of mercy this time around.
I will say that's how I first got on the show. I was like, my brother told me about the show. I'm like, I could beat all these dudes. And I did, but then the artists got really good, and more good ones came on, and I rarely win. And of course, I did win 2 weeks ago to go to the Pro Edition, and guess what happened?
You won again. You beat the
There
pro.
was no Pro show because I won.
Oh, right.
Mike S. Miller is dodging you. That's all there is to it.
He knows a Pro Slayer when he sees one.
My God,
I don't know what they did. They did a show last night. I can't remember what it was. It was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
But that's it. Nothing. I'm not launching anything right now. I got a commission I'm finishing up for a person. I finished up a commission a couple of weeks ago for someone over in Europe, and just redoing a couple pages and sending it off to my editor to read and tell me how bad it is.
I hope he'll be merciful.
I hope so too. I don't feel like doing anything to it.
Well, I know your editor, and he's amazing. So,
Yeah, Eric. If I remember correctly, my editor is just as much of a curmudgeon. So there you go.
Yeah.
yeah, that guy's a dick. Anyway, thank you, Eric, and I hope you get well soon.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
feeling about it.
really.
Yes.
Yeah. And Clyde Hall.
Hey, well, like everybody else, you can go down here to my author's page on Amazon and you find most of the things that I've done with Stormgate Press. I'm on Facebook at Clyde Hall and Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. You can follow me there. Me and I think 13 other people are still on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984. So you can find me there, but I don't put up a lot of content. I do I represent, I'm one of the staffers of Comics Beat. So I put up some of their articles in Doom Rocket. I put up articles there a lot of times that are mine and other people's work. So that's a place there is a nice feature that Comics Beat is doing right now that tells you their picks for the best books of the week coming out. And I believe that launches late Tuesday or early Wednesday, so you can look at it before you go to the comic book shop. So you might look for that. That's a cool little feature. And The Beat is the site on Twitter, and it used to be Comics Beat. It's called The Beat when you see it written out, but it's still, I believe, at Comics Beat, and Doom Rocket at doomrocket.com. And you can find my reviews on both of those online sites. But on Thursday nights, You can see me live and in person right here with all these other guys.
And naked.
Well, not so far.
That's
but...
the after party.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, you didn't get the memo?
I didn't, but I'm always drunk by then anyway, so I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I start off being a 12-year-old, I turn into an adult, and then I pass out.
And he wakes up to see Eric.
I think that the Wildcat creator or writer owes me residuals now, so I'm going to be putting in a lawsuit. I need you guys to be my witnesses.
The little girl character is based on Clyde Hall.
That's right. That's right, doggone it.
I think what that guy owes us is a written apology. Thank you, Clyde. Thank you as always. Thank you all, guys, and say hello to my little friend. Anyway,
don't unleash the monsters here.
I know. I'll show you the monster after we go off the air. Anyway, Rick Bradley says, at Rad Publishing says, thanks for the smiles, everyone. You're awesome. So are you, Rick. Have a great night. Take care, stay creative, and game on. Can't wait for you to bring that show back with Donovan, the gaming show on Monday nights. And Parallax Spectre is fired up. OMG, I just saw the whole origin story for Zombie Chancellor and why he turns into a woman. What have you fellas done to me?
Our jobs, Parallax. That's what we've done.
Our work here is now done.
Exactly. Try dreaming that one off. Anyway. I'm Brian K. Morris, and at least I'll admit to it. All my stuff can be found at risingtide.pub. We're also on YouTube, on Facebook, and we're one of the 13 people left on Twitter, but you wouldn't know it. So I don't post there because I just don't have enough hate in my heart. So anyway, if you've enjoyed any part of the show, and God help you, there's enough here. There's got to be something. Please give us a like on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, and please, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to this channel. We've got all kinds of cool programming coming. We've still got Clever Tile pending. It's back on a monthly basis. Like I said last Monday, we talked to Master Ron Fitzgerald, a great Gothic illusionist out of Chicago, and he talks about his appearances on WGN TV, his history, his love of David Bowie, how he became a non-standard traditional magician, wizard kind of guy, and talks about his movie career and his acting. It's a great show, lots of fun. Please check it out on this channel, all right? And also, I can be found on Walmart.com, Booksmillion.com, Smashwords, and mostly Amazon.com. But for one-stop shopping to see all the broadcasts, check it out here. And while you're there, also, I have a free insider information letter that goes out every first of the month, and the next issue went out today at 5:15 Eastern Time. If you want to get on board for the January, start your new year off right, and sign up. There's a tab on the risingtide.pub where you can find out. I also have a new book that just came out a couple weeks ago. We are published by First City Books out of Vincennes, Indiana, and it's a brand new book called First City Books Goes to the Beach. I write my very first romantic story in there.
Ooh.
Yes. Unfortunately, I was in a Sandestein mood when I wrote it.
Well, it could have been worse. It could have been in a Hitler crossdresser mood. So
I know. I never could get any younger than this. So what the hell?
5,000 move.
That's true. But anyway, and then Parallax Spectre would want to write stories about me. Anyway, there's always a silver lining. Anyway, that's what we've got going on. And we also want to thank our various and sundry sponsors. We want to thank Rising Tide Publications. The Terrors will definitely be coming out this spring, and you'll be glad it did, because it's got some really cool stuff inside and a great cover by Jeffrey Hayes, Plasma Fire Graphics. Also, we want to thank our Patreon subscribers who have helped us in so many ways over the months. Excuse me. And currently, like I said, in about a couple days, I'll be posting the next chapter in Volcana, the second Volcana book, and you get a chance to be one of my beta readers. and your name will go in the book. You'll get mentioned on this show as often as possible. But check it out. Check out what we offer you in return for your direct financial support at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And Eric Hawkins has a Patreon page, so does Brian Rodman. Please check out those pages too, because they are awesome. And speaking of awesome, our main sponsor is Plasma Fire Graphics. Check them out. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
When you're done with this show, go on over to the Plasma Fire Graphics Facebook page, check out those great samples, then bop on over to PlasmaFireGraphics.com, where you can contact Jeffrey Hayes and find out about his indie creator-friendly pricing. You'll be glad you did. That's Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And also, here's a special event coming up in January from some friends of ours. Check it out.
The Multiverse Fundraiser is a virtual fandom jamboree and a charity fundraiser all rolled into one package. We're not just raising funds for a good cause, we're raising fun. Our 2023 event will be supporting the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health, which exists to spread awareness of aortic health and prevent unnecessary suffering through genetic research, widespread education, and radical advocacy. Our fundraiser combines celebrity panels, fandom-based panels, indie creators, and all of the fun of a virtual con for free. There's a little something for everyone while we support a cause close to our heart. Join us on January 20th through 22nd, along with celebrity guests Amy Yazbek, Jason Bear, Chris Gaucher, Victor Garber, William Catt, Cress Williams, Beth Broderick, Armin Shimmerman, Guy Gilchrist, Carrie Schaefer, Brian Hull, Amy Carrero, Jennifer Cody, and Joyce DeWitt.
Definitely check that out. It's going to be a great event. We look forward to seeing you there. And also, I want to say one more thing. My next personal appearance will be January 6th and 7th at ShadowCon. Go to shadowcon.org. I'll be appearing at the Clarion Hotel and Suites at 2240 Democrat Road in Memphis, Tennessee. So please come check it out. I'm looking forward to being their guest of honor. That's going to be kind of cool. I haven't been to Memphis in years, and here I am headlining the show. So anyway, thank you to the ShadowCon for inviting me, and thank you for watching tonight's show. We'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Clever Title Pending. And as always, folks, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Thank you for watching, and tell your friends about this show. It's Comic Book Spectrum, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.